Nisambula Vinaka, Fiji, and a warm welcome to this week's episode of Speak Your Mind. I'm Louise Kaunisela, your host. Now, the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, he said that corruption is criminal, immoral, and the ultimate betrayal of public trust. Now, we have International Anti-Corruption Day that's going to be celebrated on the 9th of December. And my guest in the studio today, well, it's good to see her again, FICAC Public Relations Officer Bettylyn Matakitoga. A warm welcome to Speak Your Mind.
Bula Vinaka Louise, thank you very much for the warm welcome. And to all of you listening in on Gold FM and watching on FBC TV, it's great to be back.
Well, that's great to have you as well. Now, what is International Anti-Corruption Day? We'll start off with that.
So International Anti-Corruption Day, or IACD, as you mentioned, is celebrated around the world on the 9th of December. Now, this day was designated to celebrate International Anti-Corruption Day, and it came about after the United Nations Convention Against Corruption was adopted by the UN General Assembly in 2003, and it entered into force in 2005. Now, Fiji actually became a state party to the United Nations Convention Against Corruption in 2008, which is a year after FICAC was established in Fiji.
Okay.
So it's great, and the great thing about IACD is it's a day to look back on the anti-corruption efforts throughout the year and look forward to what the future holds in terms of anti-corruption. Now, IACD usually has a multi-year theme running throughout the past few years, and it has been United Against Corruption. But this year, given everything that has happened with the global pandemic, among other things, they have 3 special focus areas which they are commemorating globally. Now, this is corruption and sports, and gender and corruption. And the third special focus area is on recovering with integrity because of COVID-19. Now, around the world, states have taken significant measures to address this health emergency, and in the hustle and bustle of getting relief and assistance to the people who need it, areas and opportunities for corruption can arise. So by focusing on the theme recovering with integrity, they are urging everybody to hold on to accountability and integrity, and so that we can prosper forward.
Thank you very much. It's a wonderful explanation. Now, how are we celebrating it in Fiji?
Now, that's a great question. We are having a large-scale event this year, which we are really excited to hold. Now, FICAC, in partnership with the United Nations Pacific Regional Anti-Corruption Project, are launching the I Don't Accept Bribes badge and campaign.
Okay.
And this will be in the presence of His Excellency the President, who is our chief guest for the day, among other distinguished and notable guests from around the country and around the globe. Something special about this year is not only in addition to the badge that we are launching, it will also be a global event. We have members of the UNPRAC team and other interested parties who want to be part of this event, who will be able to view and be part of it through the internet.
Okay.
So it's great. And this year, FICAC has been fortunate to partner with our colleagues from UNPRAC, whose insight and expertise on anti-corruption and corruption from a global and regional level have really helped us take this year's event up a notch. So we're really thankful to them for that. And another thing that's currently happening, which I feel is a great build-up to next week, Wednesday, is the International Anti-Corruption Conference. It's a virtual conference currently happening in South Korea. It started yesterday and it ends on Saturday. So they've got over 120 sessions with over 500 experts who are speaking on anti-corruption in length in the different sectors of the world. And I actually joined in on a few sessions last night, and it was really great to see the experts on it. So, if you have time, go online and look it up. They've got a film festival and a music festival. So something to cater to all your different interests and to generate the interest and topics and discussions, of course, around anti-corruption. So I feel like for us here in the Pacific, it's a great build-up towards IACD next Wednesday.
Yeah.
There's even a session being facilitated by our friends at UNPRAC, and it's on youths as agents of change in anti-corruption. So it's something to look forward to this week. And, if you don't have time to look it up yourself, we will be providing some updates via the FICAC Facebook page, so you can follow us for that.
Okay, great. So what is the I Don't Accept Bribes badge and campaign?
Louise, these 4 simple words. I don't accept bribes. just saying it gave me goosebumps. I don't know whether it was the aircon or because I'm really feeling the message this year.
Okay.
Now, these 4 words sum up the focus for FICAC for 2021.
Yeah.
So in launching this badge and campaign next week, Wednesday, it really sets the stage for our anti-corruption efforts next year and the kind of work culture that we are trying to instill and enhance in the public workforce that we have in the public sector. Because as we all know, the public sector and its services to all Fijians form the very fabric for our prosperity and success. However, corruption and bribery is a threat to it,
Yeah.
So on December 9, through launching our I Don't Accept Bribes campaign, we are expecting all public servants around the country to wear this badge, and it will be distributed throughout the year as we carry out our anti-corruption training programs, which we will discuss a little later on.
Okay, so when are they expected to wear the badge? On the actual day or leading up already now?
No, it will roll out from next year once we
from
commence.
next year,
Once we
I see.
commence
Okay,
with
so-
the anti-corruption training programs.
Oh, okay then.
Yes.
All right. So why is the focus on anti-bribery?
We hope to encourage everybody who wear the badge to embrace integrity and to build a culture of resilience against the incitement to bribery. Now, this badge, when worn by the public servant, it is a promise not to engage in acts of corruption, and it is an oath, and to the public, it is a reminder to them that bribes will not be accepted or entertained, and that they can trust in the public servant wearing that badge to deliver the services as promised, as guaranteed, which is their right. Because serving the public interest as someone in the public sector should always be the main focus over serving private interest.
Yeah, very true. So they will be expected to wear these badges next year.
Yes.
Every single civil servant?
Yes, that is
Will it
correct.
be compulsory or is it going to be if they want to wear it or not?
Well-
compulsory, well, hopefully.
Well, hopefully.
Yeah.
Because, wearing the badge, some may question, how can you just wear a badge and stop accepting bribes,
Yeah.
There will be skeptics. But I think we shouldn't, underestimate the power that a badge can have because it carries very powerful symbolism. Now, this badge, it depicts the motto, I don't accept bribes.
Okay.
And it's accompanied by the Fiji flag. And so it's trying to, evoke that sense of patriotism.
Okay.
Because when you say no to bribery, you're not just saying no to bribery for your own private gain, but you're saying yes to building a nation of integrity. You're making that promise that every day when you go out into the office and if someone tries to offer you something, you will say, no, I don't accept bribes.
Right. So before the person even wants to think of, trying to bribe you.
Yes, they
will
should see the badge.
Yeah?
The badge is a great deterrent.
Yeah.
And as a public servant putting it on every day, it's not a mindless act. It takes conscious effort.
Yeah.
You pick the badge up, you look at it, you need to make sure that it's placed correctly.
Yeah.
You see the 4 words, you see the badge.
Yeah.
You feel a sense of pride.
Yeah.
It
I'd
makes you
say
take
so.
ownership and accountability. So that is the type of attitude that we're trying to bring about next year. Because I feel like sometimes in the hustle and bustle of everything, it gets a bit lost in translation.
Yeah. All right, then we'll be back shortly on Speak Your Mind, Gold FM, only the classic hits. We're your only classic hit station in the country. Thank you for your company. We're back on Speak Your Mind, Gold FM, only the classic hits. I'm Louise Kaunisela. My guest is from FICAC, Bettylyn Matakitoga. And if you have a question or maybe just want to be part of the conversation, you can call 3220906 or 7732906. This is live on radio and we have the delayed coverage on FBC TV. That's every Tuesday night at 11 and Wednesday morning at 11. Now, I find the focus on anti-bribery. FICAC, you're taking this to another whole new level. And, we're talking about how civil servants will be expected to wear these badges every day. And it'll be a reminder to them that, and also to a reminder to people who want to bribe them that, I don't accept a bribe. So maybe you can continue on why the focus on anti-bribery.
Thank you, Louise. So firstly, before we delve further into everything around the badge, firstly, bribery is, what is bribery? Okay.
Right.
Bribery is requesting is the requesting of or accepting any advantage by a public servant with a corrupt motive for any official work being performed by the public servant. Now, these advantages that are being offered to the public servants, have surpassed imagination and expectation. These come in the form of people offering to repay loan payments, people offering to pay their bills, offering mobile phones, luxury items, shopping vouchers, and the list goes on. Right? So Transparency International, just this past week, they released a report on citizens' views and experiences of corruption. Now, 17 countries in the Asian region made up the participants for this survey, which provides some global perspectives and some much needed food for thought. Now, their report revealed that nearly 1 in 5 citizens who accessed public services in the past year paid a bribe to get these services. And more than 1 in 5 people admitted to using their personal connections. Now, this happened for 2 reasons. Because they wanted to get better services, and because if they didn't pay the bribe, they wouldn't receive the service at all.
Okay.
Now, while these statistics do not apply to Fiji, it provides a global perception of what is happening.
Yes.
Because bribery creates an uneven playing field, which does not just involve or affect the 2 people who are giving and exchanging the bribe.
Yeah.
A famous English barrister, judge, and politician, Edward Coke, once said, though the bribe be small, the fault is great.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, there's nothing different whether it's a small bribe or a big bribe. It's still a bribe.
Exactly. And let's look at some scenarios. So say, for example, you get pulled over for overspeeding. And you think to yourself, okay, I can just give this person $20 and I save myself from getting fined.
Right.
And this person gets some extra lunch money. It's a win-win situation. Nobody is affected. But that's not true. Okay?
Okay.
Once you pay this bribe, you are setting yourself up to have that mentality that to get out of things, you can pay for it and get away with it.
Yeah.
But once you do that, what if the next time you're overspeeding, you don't get pulled over by a cop, by an officer, you accidentally end up killing somebody. Somebody loses their life.
True.
So paying for a fine is much better than going to jail, because when you have to pay for a fine, this is the consequence of an action for not doing the right thing, for doing something wrong. And when you're forced to acknowledge the consequences of your actions, then you will think, okay, I don't want to do this again. But if you start to adopt that mindset of, I can get away with it because I can just pay some extra money on the side, then what then are we saying, and what kind of platforms are we setting up for the future generation? Growing up, we're always taught to think of the consequences of our actions.
Right.
In school, you write essays on the consequences of our actions on a number of things. But it seems like, sadly, as soon as you leave school and you enter the workforce, some people forget about the consequences of their actions. And they only think of the instant gratification they will receive now if they accept this bribe, but not the consequence of it later, because it will come back.
Yeah.
Bribery, you will get caught for it eventually.
Eventually, exactly. I mean, when they do get away with it, then they keep going until it gets really big, and then they're in big trouble.
Yes.
So, what's the use? Like you said, the consequences of your action. Is it really worth it?
Exactly.
Yeah, so it is not worth it at all. So how will FICAC emphasize the message of anti-bribery?
So in emphasizing our message, we are targeting rooting out systemic corruption. Now, systemic corruption is based on the belief or notion that a whole body or a whole organization is corrupt. When an ordinary Fijian citizen thinks, okay, if they're about to apply for something, they're going to try to think, okay, who do I know there? Do I have a relative there, or my neighbor? Does my neighbor work there? Does my OG or OB work there? Because they think it is only if they use their personal connection that they will receive a service, an excellent service at that. But that should not be the case.
No.
Systemic corruption has corrupted the system, and it has caused deep mistrust within citizens, and we need to address that. People should not be thinking of that if they want to apply for something. If they want to apply for something, they should do it with the confidence that they will know it will get through, that they trust in the procedures and processes in place to deliver those services to them.
True.
They should not be thinking about which connection they can use to get it.
And that's a mentality that a lot of people have these days.
Yes, and it's
You know,
really sad.
It's really sad. I mean, just be patient and do the right thing.
Trust in the process.
Trust in the process, yeah. Okay, so what makes bribery different from other corruption offenses?
So when we talk about bribery and the occurrence of bribery and people who engage in acts of bribery, we like to think of bribery as kind of like a dark figure crime. So dark figure in the sense that bribery offenses may happen and go undetected for a long period of time until somebody picks it up or notices something wrong.
Right.
Like with other corruption offenses like forgery or obtaining a financial advantage or abuse of office, there you have audits there which you can go through and pick up the discrepancies.
Okay.
But for bribery, if it's happening on the side and if they're really, really sneaky about it, it can go undetected.
Yeah.
But it will get picked up eventually. But the thing is, it can happen for a long period of time undetected. So
Yes.
that's what makes it quite scary, because how many people are going to lose out from their services that they need for their rights, the things that are guaranteed to them under the Constitution, their human rights, if people are going to be accepting bribes and compromising with these things.
Yeah, I always like it when you have the stories where, someone wants to bribe, like a cop, for instance, and the cop doesn't accept it, and actually, they can get charged for that.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So we'll come back to that in a moment on Speak Your Mind, Gold FM, only the classic hits. Welcome back to Speak Your Mind on Gold FM, only the classic hits. I'm Louise Kaunisela, your host, and my guest is from FICAC, that is Bettylyn Matakitoga. Now, we spoke earlier on about how someone sometimes wants to, carry out a bribery, but on the other end, that person doesn't, accept it, and they can get charged for it. So have we had any instances of this, or, a lot in the country?
Yes, if you read in the news, I believe there has been some stories shared about police officers and other honest citizens who have reported against either being asked for a bribe or somebody who has been offered a bribe and they say no when they report it. And these kind of stories are really important because they really make the impact that we're trying to make by rolling out with the badges next year.
Yes.
And the really tricky thing about bribery is while it also can remain undetected for a long period of time, it's because sometimes bribery is happening around us, but we're not calling it bribery. We're calling it, it's just thank you for your work. Don't worry about it. It's just a token of appreciation.
So right there and then you're already,
it's an enabling kind of attitude.
to give you that excuse that, what you're doing is not wrong.
So it's almost like the person who's offering it and saying that it's just lunch money, it's almost like they're trying to comfort themselves. Like, I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm just doing something nice for somebody, But it's like you're doing something nice for them, but you're expecting something else in return from them later on.
Yeah.
I watched, there's a lot of local videos on TikTok. We've got a lot of content makers, and it's really great and entertaining. And, one really caught my attention and my eye the other day. And it was someone who was doing a video on something, and they happened to mention something about and it was mentioned so casually and with ease about how you can just pay $20 and get off getting a fine. It should not be spoken about with such ease. And, it's no fault of the person. It's because that's the kind of conversations happening around bribery.
Yes.
Because nobody's going to lose it's a win-win situation. What's the harm in just giving this extra $20?
So can you tell that person who wants to offer the bribery what is wrong with that? If they can't understand, because they're getting away, they're telling themselves, it's just a favor, and just tell them why they shouldn't.
Okay, so we can look at it from 3 different perspectives. So as we've discussed in great length, the perspective of the person giving the bribe, we're not losing anything. He's getting something, I'm getting something, it's okay. Now switch it to the perspective of the public servant who is employed by the public service to carry out their duties diligently,
Honestly.
and with integrity.
Yeah.
And once they accept that one bribe and they get away with it, they may adopt that mentality that, okay, I didn't get caught once. I'm going to start doing it more often.
Yep.
And I'm going to only do my job when people offer me something. Okay? But this should not be the case. Public servants are paid a salary to do their job. As the public, you do not have to pay them anything extra. There should be no expectation of a gift after that, no implication. And the thing is, nowadays, maybe bribes aren't even directly asked for. Like, I won't just come up to you and say, hey, I'll pay you $20. Can you do this? Sometimes it can even just be, like they can try and beat around the bush, but with the implication that something is expected if you want to receive a service.
See, so, I mean, that's just it. Obviously, I mean, you give and take. And then they're doing it in a way
I
that it's
scratch your
accepted.
back, you scratch mine.
Yeah. And then it just gets to be normal, like,
Yeah.
okay, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. That's what they find. And then you're trying to tell them it is wrong.
It's wrong.
You're getting a wage. Why are you doing it?
Yes. Bribery is not a means to an end. We need to hold our public officers accountable to the office that they hold. We need to hold them to that standard where we expect integrity from them. And we should know ourselves that we should not even be offering. We need to know that if we are asked for a bribe, that we should report it.
Yes.
That we should not feel pressured into giving it just because they are of a higher position or because we desperately need this service. We need to trust in the system, and we need to work together to build up a system of integrity. And we hope that this I don't accept bribes badge becomes something of a symbol of hope for the kind of future of integrity that we would like to build together.
Yeah, but the thing is, sometimes I feel it's human nature where they try to do these kind of things, especially bribery. It's just too good of a temptation to get things done quickly or.
Yeah, that, sadly, that is a bit of a fact. But then it all comes back to integrity. Okay, our moral values that we're talking about at home.
Right.
Okay, if you Google the word integrity, it tells us that integrity is the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles. Now, it is one thing to say that you have integrity, but can you act with integrity without compromise?
I mean, everyone wants to have a good conduct. I mean, if you're a person who has a good conduct, I mean, you'll be loved and you will get everything you want. I'm sure you don't have to have a corrupt conduct.
And the impact of bribery that we're talking about, like, where we've only talked about the person giving it and the person receiving it. But what about the other honest public servants around you who, may have heard of this happening in the background? Now, this honest public servant is doing their job diligently and with integrity. And if you see somebody benefiting on the side, you are, one rotten apple spoils the whole barrel.
Exactly. I was going to say that. Yeah. So one rotten apple, you need to get them out.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, for FICAC, I believe you must have had a lot of cases. I mean, I'm not going to talk about it, but, you've prosecuted a lot as well. So you're doing a great job. And what do you think is making this possible? I mean, people are, of course, reporting. So I'm sure you do encourage whistleblowers.
Yes, of course.
So how do you go about that? Getting them to tell you. I know that they need evidence as well.
Yes.
So you must be getting a lot of evidence this year too, which is a good thing. Yeah.
This year and the years that have passed, we've got a very robust corruption prevention department who go out into the different sectors of society. And the first step to being able to identify and report corruption is to have a good working knowledge of anti-corruption. What are your rights? You need to know what FICAC does and what we can do for you and how we can work together to fight corruption in society. Now, this year, we've worked very closely with our friends from the United Nations Pacific Regional Anti-Corruption Project, and they've opened a lot of doors to us to go into the CSOs and civil society groups. We've conducted a few workshops with them to youth entrepreneurs on building businesses with integrity, because it takes a collective action to address corruption. And it was great to see the response from the different participants, because there was a lot of maybe they didn't know about it before, but they know about it now. And they definitely know what steps to take in the future.
Right.
Yeah, so that's a very hopeful thing to see.
Great. On Speak Your Mind, we'll be back shortly with more. Welcome back to Speak Your Mind on Gold FM, only the classic hits. I'm your host, Louise Kaunisela, and I thank you for your good company, dear listener, and of course, a viewer. We have the live radio show on right now. So if you have any questions, 3220906 or 77320906. Now, my guest is from FICAC. We have the Public Relations Officer telling us how to hold up integrity, which is very important. Bettylyn Matakitoga. Now, why is it wrong to give gifts to public servants?
Because public servants are already being paid to do their job and provide you with the service. And any time that something extra is asked on the side, that is pure greed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yes,
and
I would agree with you.
There should not be any greedy public servants. You should not let your greed blind other people's needs.
Okay, just one thing. Sometimes they say, "Oh, they're giving it from their heart. How can we not accept it?" What would you say to that? They're giving it from their heart. Fijians. People are supposed to be really nice. And,
yes.
Yeah. So maybe you can tell them why it is, not right.
If they're giving it with the intention to influence your actions, it is not right.
Okay, so like you said, give and take kind of
give and take kind of thing. And even if they say, "Oh, just take it now, don't worry about it, I'll come back to you later if I need anything." Anything, if somebody is trying to give you something for you to do something within your capacity as a public servant, that is tantamount to bribery.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, that's for charity, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to have that kind of ways, just give to charity,
And the thing is, in accepting it, coming back around to thinking about the consequences of your actions.
Yeah.
Because when you get caught for accepting bribes, you will get prosecuted and you will go to jail. And what happens when you go to jail? The consequences for that start at home.
Yeah, so you should think of that right from the beginning.
Exactly. Your family will suffer.
Yeah.
You will lose out on family time, watching your family grow up. You spent years studying to get an education, to build yourself up, to build your career. And you throw it all away to accept what? A few $100s? Is that worth it? You throw away years of your life that you will spend in jail when you could be out there being a proactive member of society, contributing and giving back positively.
Yes.
Instead of engaging in these wrong and illegal things and immoral things, what kind of example are we setting for the future?
Yes.
And it's really sad that not a lot of thought goes into this. And it is our hope that in having this I Don't Accept Bribes campaign, we want people to sit and talk about it. Think about the consequences. Think about the consequences on you, your life, your family who will be impacted. And, the media play a very important role in this. And we've got a very exciting media campaign planned for this. We've got an advertisement which hopes to capture, the consequences of engaging in bribery to really make you stop and think, is it worth it? So to people engaging in bribery or acts of corruption, stop, because you may think you're getting away with it now, but you're not going to forever.
Yes.
It will catch up with you.
Most definitely.
The weight of it on your conscience.
Yeah.
How can you accept it and deny somebody else like 100% service?
Yeah.
Because bribery creates an uneven playing field. Because what happens to the poor and disadvantaged who cannot pay a bribe or who cannot give a gift on the side? They lose out.
I mean, everyone's equal. Just wait your turn, for goodness sake.
Exactly.
I mean, you just showing your, like you said, greed and impatience and trying to get a favor done really quickly.
Yeah.
And it's not fair on everybody else.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So, right, they have to think that, it's just not right. You have to know the difference.
Yeah.
Geez, when we're growing up, we learn what's right and what's wrong, or what's good and what's bad.
Exactly. And your actions, it's not just thinking of, like it's a one-off situation, it's a win-win, but your actions today impact your future tomorrow.
Yeah, think about that. Think about that before you accept money. I mean, there's been so many, I could say millions of dollars being lost to corruption in the country.
Yes. There has actually globally, there has been a loss of $1 trillion. Globally, $1 trillion is lost to bribery. Now, imagine what that $1 trillion could be used for. It could be used to improve healthcare, to improve so many other services. It can improve the lives of a lot of people.
Yeah.
So we need to really stop and think and stop engaging in bribery.
Just don't.
Yeah.
So how can we differentiate a gift from a bribe?
You know, this is a very, it's a super important topic to discuss now that we're entering the festive season, because I'm sure once people start hearing about this I don't accept bribes campaign, they're going to think, okay, but how do we know if it's a gift or a bribe? So I've got a few questions, okay, that you can ask yourself before you answer. And so, okay, how can you tell the difference between a gift and a bribe? Now, is it just a token of thanks? Or is it to influence a relationship or decision? Is the gift being given with the expectation of future favors you can only grant within your capacity as a public servant? Is it given at a time where your company is about to award a contract? Okay, if the aim of the gift is to expect a favorable act, then it is not a gift. Maybe the gift is given and you say, don't worry about it, you can return the favor in the future. I scratch your back, you scratch mine. These are not gifts. Okay? Now, a Supreme Court judge in the US once said, a gift can be disclosed, a bribe needs to be concealed.
Yes. Right. So immediately you know that it's wrong when you hide in it. I mean, when you hide something, just like when you go to church, they always say, if you commit a sin, you know when you're committing a sin because you hide it.
Right, and because you will feel guilty about it, and it will show up in your work, it will show up in different aspects of your life, because accepting and giving bribes, it's not just, like a physical act. It takes a psychological toll on you, because, you're challenging the norms and the moral values that you were instilled with from a young age. So you're contradicting it, and it will show.
Yeah, like you said, it will show, and then you'll go to prison. That's another thing. The consequences of your actions will catch up on you. So have you ever seen someone who's been involved in bribery and then, watch them, how they look when they're caught? What a, regret, I'm sure.
Of course, regret and shame.
Yeah, and
but
shame, right.
When you rewind back to the act of accepting the bribe, they're happy.
Yeah.
Because they're not thinking of the consequences.
They're just thinking, oh my goodness me, I can buy this.
Yeah.
I can finish my home. Maybe I could buy a new car. Or I can do whatever,
But then when they get confronted with the truth, with the facts, and they're charged, So it's temporary gratification.
Yeah, and what's the use of it?
Exactly.
Temporary gratification.
It's not worth it.
Not worth it at all. On Speak Your Mind, Gold FM, only the classic hits. We're your only classic hit station in the country. Be sure to tune in. This is Speak Your Mind on Gold FM, only the classic hits. I'm Louise Kaunisela, your host. Hope you're enjoying the program. My guest is from FICAC, the Public Relations Officer, Bettylyn Matakitoga. Now, you've been giving such great explanations. Now, what if giving gifts as a token of appreciation is part of my culture? I mean, I kind of related to that earlier on, saying, oh, they're just giving it with a good heart. Yeah, right.
Yeah. In a lot of discussions that we have when it comes to anti-bribery, people are saying that, it's part of my culture. But, when you get charged and taken to court, when you're charged with bribery, it's not a defense. It's part of my culture is not a defense. And public service should not be confused with customs and culture and gifts. There is a time and place for these things to happen, and it should not be happening to influence your actions as a public servant, because you need to act with integrity.
Yes.
And if you're going to start confusing the two, going out into the public and saying, I'm a public servant, I expect this, that's not right.
Yeah, they're mixing the culture with their job.
Yeah.
I mean, why would you do that?
Yes. So it all falls back to how much you know of your company's policies.
Yeah.
What does it say about things like this? Because you need to safeguard yourselves.
True.
But in order to safeguard yourselves, it first needs to start with you. An introspective reflection is needed. You need to know where you stand. How confident are you that you will say no? And, there's kind of like a herd mentality kind of thing happening around the issue of this phenomenon of bribery and corruption. People think, if this person is doing it, why can't I do it? If they're going to pay this bribe and, get the service they need. Why can't I do it? But it's wrong. And if nobody is going to stand up and question it and, point out the flaws and the lack of integrity, then where does it start? It needs to start somewhere. So I would urge all Fijians to, let the journey, let this I Don't Accept Bribes campaign, let it start with you. Start talking about it. It's not a joke and it's not a one-off thing. There are real world consequences to these actions, and you may not think about it now, but when consequence comes knocking on your door, it will dawn on you then. So it's better now.
But
yes,
that's
prevention is better than cure.
True.
Work with us.
Yeah, great. Now, what measures can be implemented to safeguard against this? Like I said earlier, the giving of gifts as a token of appreciation being part of the culture.
Right. So emphasize again, you can have anti-corruption policies in place. So this is a great time to go through your codes of conduct and everything, see what it says about accepting or receiving gifts while out on the field, because sometimes in your line of work it may be inevitable. Okay.
Right.
But the clear line is drawn when you feel like something's wrong is when you attempted to take that gift or let that gift influence you and your actions as a public servant. So you need to know what your policies say about these things. There are companies that have gift registries, people who accept gifts and you take it back and you declare it to the company. So, there are so many measures in place. So what you can also do is you can get in touch with FICAC. We offer free anti-corruption trainings to help you draft and implement your anti-corruption policies, because it's one thing to say you have a policy, but are you actually enforcing it? Are you regularly updating it? Because systems are changing, people are changing, attitudes and cultures are changing. But the core of any organization should be to operate with integrity. Because when everything is running honestly, you don't have to worry about anything else. Because you know that you are doing everything, you are crossing all your T's and dotting all your I's, so you need to have your policies in place. If you haven't already undergone an anti-corruption training, get in touch and request it. If you've already undergone it, call for a refresher training, because you can never know too little or too much. Things are always advancing and we need to be with it.
Yes. So what should someone do if they've been asked for a bribe or know of someone who's been asked for a bribe?
At one of the trainings we attended, one of the participants asked, what if I know of something, but I feel like it's none of my business, I shouldn't say anything. That is the wrong attitude to have. You need to have a strong sense of justice, and it is your responsibility as an honest Fijian to, if you're not confident to call them out on their act of bribery, you need to report it to FICAC. Don't be afraid. Don't feel that it is not your place to do it because it doesn't involve you. Because one way or another, that act of bribery may impact your future in one, maybe indirectly or directly. So you need to be empowered to come forward. There are so many ways that you can report corruption to FICAC. There are some free ways. We have a mobile toll-free line, 1322. Okay, so if you're not sure if it's bribery, call and ask.
Okay, if they're scared, are complainants protected when they report bribery to FICAC?
Yes, they are. So rest assured, you can report anonymously even. Okay, but just do your part. Do the right thing. Act with integrity.
Okay, right. Act with integrity. And just another question is that, they might be scared, so, they're protected. But I think it's very important. Sometimes you have to weed out complaints that don't have much evidence, because I think FICAC need more evidence. So maybe you can, tell a person who may think someone is committing corruption and how they should report to FICAC and what they should have.
Yes, any evidence that you may have, whether it be a photo or a receipt or a document that can help, that will really help. That is the first step to establishing everything.
And obviously it'll be on suspicion first. So what are the things to look out for that, could spell corruption? Okay.
So if something is, you have to trust your instinct sometimes. Like when you feel like something is wrong, there may be something wrong. If you see maybe some people, they're sitting at a certain salary, but their spending and living is beyond that means. Immediately you think something is wrong. Maybe the numbers in the records don't match what is actually available there.
Okay.
So it's like being alert to these things and not turning a blind eye to it. Ignorance is not bliss.
Right.
You need to know what is happening on the ground floor, what is happening in your office, what is happening with the person next to you. And aside from just knowing, just encourage each other to be and do better.
Yes.
Because we need that kind of encouragement, that kind of motivation to do it. You need that reminder. And our badge, the I Don't Accept Bribes badge, is an excellent reminder.
Well, I'm really looking forward to seeing that next year on every civil servant wearing that badge.
Yes.
I think that's a great idea. So where did you get the idea from? Is it an international sort of
No, it
idea?
actually happened within the office. One of our offices, if you look around sometimes with the general public, if there is an event coming up, or like when they commemorate the Remembrance Day celebrations, they have
Yes.
the pins with the poppy.
Right.
And when we had the royal visit last year, we had the badge with the Fiji flag and the Union Jack. And and all these other badges to commemorate these other worldly events. You see how people wear it with such pride.
Yes.
You make the effort to wear that badge. If you're not going to wear it on your coat, you're going to pin it somewhere where everybody will see, because it's something to be proud of.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It makes you feel something positive.
Makes you feel like you're behaving in the right way, and you will always behave in the right way. But unfortunately, Bettylyn, this interview has come to an end. Maybe just a final message from you before we leave.
Join the I Don't Accept Bribes campaign. Don't offer or accept bribes. If you have any questions, contact FICAC. If you would like to report corruption, call 1322, and follow us on our social media pages on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube.
Wonderful. It's been great talking to you, Bettylyn Matakitoga of FICAC. And from me, Louise Kaunisela, until next week, take care. Nisamo demanda.